Gather around, children, my children, it is time for an emergency meeting. The BIJOUX Brilliance 2023 holiday collection from McGrath was announced yesterday, and obviously we need to talk about it ASAP. While doing my makeup, of course, as per usual, I am first going to grab my eyeshadow primer from Inglot, because yesterday, sorry, we're already starting off a tangent here. Yesterday I did something I swapped around my routine in terms of applying my makeup, and somehow I forgot to apply my eyeshadow primer, but I didn't realize that until late in the afternoon. So I applied my makeup around 9, and around 5 I looked at my eyeshadow and I was like, why is my eyeshadow creasing? What is this horror? What is going on? And then, you know, I started to frantically like go through my mind into what I did in the morning, and I was like, wait, I have this sneaking suspicion that I forgot to apply eyeshadow primer. So that was a great positive control. Now we know that for a fact I do need an eyeshadow primer, because I can tell you, I mean, I was already pretty impressed that the eyeshadow hadn't creased before the 8-hour mark. It was the Ultra Suede Brown from the McGrath Labs kit that I purchased last year, together with Titania from Lisa Eldridge. They lasted for 8 hours without me realizing that I had forgotten to apply eyeshadow primer. But then after that, after the creasing had started, I can tell you within the next 2 to 3 hours, poof, everything was gone. So I do really need my freaking eyeshadow primer. Anyway, the BIJOUX Brilliance palette. So where do we start? First of all, the collection is rather overwhelming. I don't know that I would call it epic, so I'm just going to start off by telling you my general overall feelings about this collection, and that is that it's okay. It's not great, it's not bad. It's not as bad as Sunlit Seduction, but it's not as great as the Blitz Astral Quartz from 2019, or the Celestial Odyssey collection from 2021, or even last year's holiday collection. Which brings me to the first keen observation that I have made on this holiday collection. So, just in case you weren't familiar with what is in the collection, I'm just going to put a screenshot of everything that is included in here. We're getting 2 mega motherships. However, the mega motherships have a somewhat different architecture this year, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We're getting 4 queens. The queens were first introduced with the holiday collection last year, and we're getting some colored mascaras and trios of bronzer, blush, and highlighter. Going to blur my pores a little bit with this Becca priming filter. So the first thing that I immediately observed was, usually where she announces her holiday collections, you can see, especially since 2020, that there's a little bit of differentiation between what she's doing to attract new customers by offering more approachable price-wise products with a somewhat lower quality of the packaging, and then still attracting the people who are there for the more luxury experience by offering also items that come in her more luxurious packaging. And what she's been doing in the past couple of years is she always had a highlighter that was in, you know, a heftier packaging, heftier price tag, baked formula. She had lipsticks, last year she had this beautifully embossed red lipstick that I was also very attracted to. But the first thing that struck me this year is we're not seeing the luxury items in the collection at all. Taking a little bit of Ori Glow Lust. So that also kind of makes me question whether we have seen the whole collection already, or whether some items are coming a little bit later, because it's not unheard of from Pat to announce additional items from her holiday releases at a later date. Last year she even did that super annoying thing where she did the staggered release, where she announced the whole collection, but then she released the items one by one every other week or so, which was immensely annoying. I really hope she's not going to do that this time. I don't think so. So I'm curious whether this was it, this was the whole collection, or whether we're going to be getting anything in addition to that later on. And if we're not, that's going to be an interesting turn of events, because it seems that for the first time ever she has completely abolished appealing to the people out there who are more attracted to the luxurious side of her brand. And she has fully focused now with these collections on attracting new customers, because obviously these collections, they're meant to, you know, serve as presents for people, serve as a gateway into her brand, because they offer, you know, a bit more of a affordable, you know, gateway into her products. Affordable is a very relative term to people, so I don't want to offend anyone, but you know, considering the rest of her products and the rest of the prices of her products, the holiday collections always have featured recently products which are a little bit more on the affordable side. By the way, for my foundation, I'm just mixing the Estée Lauder Double Wear and the Dior Backstage. So I'm curious whether that was it. I'm also surprised that there are 0 lip products in here. That's one of the reasons that I'm sort of suspecting that we haven't seen the full Bijou Brilliance collection yet, because I'm quite surprised that there are 0 lip products in there. If she doesn't make lip products, that means that they sold awfully in the previous years. I don't know. So there is a question mark there under whether we have seen the whole collection, yes or no. The second observation that I have concerning the whole collection is the packaging. I am a bit baffled by the outer packaging. First of all, I'll be honest with you, I don't really like it so much. I don't know what it is about it that looks a little bit childish to me, but I'm not super keen on it. And second of all, doesn't the packaging of those new collection items remind you a little bit of the Bridgerton packaging? And because I'm almost certain that a Bridgerton collection will be coming at the end of the year or the beginning of next year when season 3 of Bridgerton is released, I'm a bit confused. Why is the packaging of this holiday collection essentially what one would associate with the Bridgerton palettes and the Bridgerton collections? I am confused. I didn't mind the Bridgerton packaging because it was in the context of Bridgerton. When she had these sort of bows and, packaging that looks like this essentially, I didn't mind it because it was connected to Bridgerton, which has a specific aesthetic. Somehow I didn't really mind the artwork when it was associated with the Bridgerton collection. But now that we're getting this for a holiday collection, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really digging it. It's not my favorite. Obviously the outer design of the packaging will be completely down to personal taste. I'm sure some of you will really dig this packaging, and that's great. I'm just not super keen on it. I don't hate it, but I don't like it either. I far prefer the packaging on Celestial Nirvana and Celestial Odyssey. That was to me more festive, more representative of the brand, and less tacky. And maybe to just, I'm sorry, jumping back and forth here, I'm taking the Lancome Tatey Doll Concealer. Because this time we're not really seeing any items that are aimed at the customers who want the luxury experience, that makes me a little bit sad and sort of totally kills my hope that we're ever going to see anything baked from her anymore, because that's what I was going to say. At least we were getting those baked highlighters the previous year, so there was, still hope that the baked products are not completely phased out. But now, if this holiday collection doesn't offer even a baked highlighter, I don't know whether the hope can really persist. Obviously, we're not getting Blitz Astral Quads. Let's give each other a virtual hug and accept that we're not getting Blitz Astral Quads. But not seeing even the baked holiday highlighters really gets me worried, I'll be honest with you. So that would kind of suggest that even in the context of a holiday collection, we cannot cope to get the things that we want. So that was, another general thing that I wanted to say, and I think we can now move on to discussing the individual items that are going to be offered in the collection. I'm going to get out of the way the thing that I have the least interest in buying or talking about, which are the colored mascaras. I don't fucking know who's buying those. I don't know, are they popular? Are they selling? They're super expensive because they're Pat McGrath, and they come in yeah, they're really fun colors, but I don't know if anyone's buying those. And that's coming from someone who used to wear a crap ton of colored mascaras in the 90s. But 90s and early 2000s, I'm not going to wear a red mascara now. So, I have no idea who these are targeted at, I will be honest with you. Taking the Airbrush Flawless powder from Charlotte Tilbury, let's talk about the new Mega Mothership palettes, because she's introducing a new concept, a new type of architecture for her Mega Mothership palettes. And again, I'm not digging it, if I'm completely honest with you. I will put pictures of the two palettes right here. First we've got, what is it called? Starstruck Splendor. And then we've got Jeweled Temptation. And unlike previous years, when we just got one big Mega Mothership with 18 eyeshadows, such as the one I'm going to use in a little bit for my look. This is the one from last year. This is Celestial Nirvana, which contain only eyeshadows. This year we're getting two Mega Motherships, and they are split. Oh, what do you know? I'm sorry, we need to take a little interlude because I just hit pan on my Charlotte Tilbury powder. Happy days, or not. I actually really like that powder. Anyway, the eyeshadows have now been split between two palettes, so you're getting 9 in one and 9 in the other. But what has been added on as extra are 2 blushes. This one is going to once again be down to personal preference. I'm a very peculiar creature who does not like to mix their different types of products. I forgave Natasha for the face and eye palettes because those kind of work for me and I don't mind them too much. But this specific like architecture of a mega mothership is not my favorite. I just don't like it. I'm not going to reach into a mega mothership for the blushes, and I feel like I have to use the blushes when I use the mega mothership because I've like whipped them out. It's just not my favorite concept. I do not like mixing my products like that. So by me, I would have just rather had 2 like smaller mega motherships to choose the correct color story for yourself, or just like throw everything in one palette and put the blushes as they are now, because there are plenty of blushes still offered in the lineup in the context of the trios. But I'm just, it bothers me like visually to see the eyeshadow pans next to the 2 powder blush pans. Not to mention that once some of the eyeshadows start to fly around, and some of them are like dark jeweled tones of eyeshadow, they're going to start mixing with the powder blushes, and I'm just not a fan. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I'm going to take the Dior Natural Bronze in the shade Deep with the absolute lightest hand out there. With that said, I am going to get one of the palettes. I'm going to get the shade Starstruck Splendor, which is the one that has the 2 green eyeshadows and some more neutral, seemingly neutral, leaning neutral eyeshadows, because the other palette, the Jeweled Temptation palette, I look at it and I'm having deja vus of a bunch of other Pat McGrath palettes, and I just feel like that palette in particular is extremely redundant with her range. Not to mention that one of the blushes is Paradise Venus, and I've got like 2 Paradise Venus now. I've got Paradise Venus in a single and the Paradise Glow duo, where half of the duo is Paradise Venus. Whereas in the Starstruck Splendor palette, not only are the eyeshadows more like appealing to me in terms of the color story, but in addition to that, I actually do not have Nymphette, which is one of the, you know, core line blushes that were released in 2020. And the other blush, it's Cosmic Something, looks to be one of the duo blushes, but I can't be sure because I'm not very well versed in her duo blushes. But whatever it is, I don't have it, and I don't mind having a nice coral in her, you know, formula, because at the very least I can say that her formula for blush is my absolute favorite. So if I add 2 colors of blush to the collection that I don't have, at the very least it's not too bad, you know. I don't like the concept, but at the very least I'm introducing 2 new colors of blush into the family. So overall the megas this year feel a little bit meh to me. I'm quite curious how they're going to look like in real life, and I'm also very curious about the formula of these, especially of the metallic eyeshadows, because as of Celestial Nirvana she's been making us some sort of a new metallic eyeshadow formula that I'm not particularly fond of. So the metallic eyeshadow formula that is in Celestial Nirvana, and that was also present in her new quad, the one that was Passion Fleur, the one that came with the cream blushes, not really fond of that. So I'm really hoping that the formula in this new palette is more like the one from Celestial Odyssey, which I far prefer. I'm going to take another interlude now. I'm so sorry, because I actually received the RMS blush that I talked about in my Lisa Eldridge Liquid Lurex video. I had mentioned that I ordered the shade Maiden's blush and it arrived just now, and obviously I am dying to use it. First of all, this is a bit smaller than I thought. For some reason I expected it to be a lot bigger and like a slimmer packaging, but like bigger. I don't really know what I was thinking. And what I didn't realize is that these are refillable, which is really, really cool. I like that. And they're baked. One of the things that attracted me the most about this formula is that they are baked and they come in a range of really beautiful colors. Charlotte Holdcroft hasn't been able to shut up about them, so I'm very curious. I'm going to give Maiden's blush a swatch for you. I did swatch it earlier. It is described as a cinnamon with pink pearl to it, and I have to say it is This is a very accurate description of the blush. The base color is definitely like a browny cinnamon color, but the pink overlay is quite strong. So I'm curious how that's going to go on my face, whether it's going to be too pink, like more pink than cinnamon, in which case that would be a bummer because I was really hoping this would be more cinnamon than pink. I'm going to take a tiny bit because this is a relatively dark shade for me. And let's start blending it here on the face to see how this is looking. It's blending out really nicely. It definitely has a little bit of a sheen to it, being the bake formula. It's not a flat matte. It has a, you know, it's glowy. It's a glowy formula, which I like. I don't mind. And the color is actually really pretty. I think I can see both the cinnamon as well as a little bit of the pink overlay. I think when you really blend it out and work it into the skin, the pink overlay gets a little bit more toned down the more you blend it out. So I actually quite like this. I think it's a very pretty fall color. You have to be careful though, because this blush obviously is a deep color, and if you're pale as I am, you will need to go in smaller increments. So far I like this. I will share more detailed thoughts when I do monthly roundup and empties in the future. I am trying to grab for some of the holiday releases from last year in this video, so I am going to take again Venusian Nude, even though I just used it in a video. But it is one of my favorite highlighters and I never ever mind using it several days in a row. So I'm really missing something like this in the collection, something that is targeted towards those of us who want the more luxurious packaging, the more luxurious, you know, formula, and yeah, I'm missing that part of the collection. But anyway, let's move on. A part of the collection that I was very excited about and I low-key suspected we would get, because I think it was rather a hit last year, are the quints. The quints were introduced last year. We got Nude Allure and Bronze Bliss, and they quickly turned into some of my favorite items in my Pat McGrath collection. I absolutely love the formula of both the mattes and the metallics that is present in those quints. I think they're really travel friendly. They make the perfect like travel eyeshadow palette because they are so light, so small, so compact, and yet your eyeshadow looks always turn out so impactful. So I'm really fond of the fact that we're getting 4 new quints this year. Again, I'm going to put like a little screenshot of the quints right here, and the shades of the quints that we're getting are Bronze Ecstasy, Sunset Romance, Lunar Nightshade, and Bordeaux Bliss. And by far, from everyone who has messaged me so far, I can tell you for a fact, Lunar Nightshade might be the one that sells out. Hopefully that specific shade of quint becoming so popular will send the correct message to the brand that we all are longing for something a little bit more unique. Although, let's also not forget, this is a holiday collection. This is aimed at people who are going to go into the store and pick random things to gift to their loved ones. So they're not going to know who Pat McGrath is. They're just going to be looking for something that looks festive and fun to give as a pressy. And honestly, the mega motherships in that aspect are going to be probably a hit, because who doesn't want to get, you know, more bang for their buck, you know, eyeshadows and blushes. And I'm guessing the quints are going to be super popular, but which shades are going to be popular to the general population and not just to the population that has such a skewed mindset such as us? I don't know. I don't know whether Lunar Nightshade will be the one that sells out outside of our little circle over here. So let me quickly tell you what we're doing for a look today. I'm going to grab the 2 neutral shades, the mid-tone, neutrally coolish type of brown, and this beautiful deeper brown. I'm going to put this one all over my lid because it kind of matches my shirt really nicely. Probably going to put this one in my inner corners, and obviously we're going to do something for a topper, but you will see the topper in a little bit. So as far as the quints are concerned, obviously Lunar Nightshade, what I'm getting. I was considering getting 3 out of the 4 and omitting Bordeaux Bliss, because Bordeaux Bliss, is it Bordeaux Bliss? Let me check. It's something with Bordeaux that has like a really darkened reddish type of shade that I'm really not into. Yes, it's Bordeaux Bliss. However, then I realized that obviously she's going to offer the quints in a bundle, and if I buy the 3 individual ones, I'm going to pay as much as if I would pay for the bundle. So I'm going to go for the psychology buy now, think later, and just see what they look like in person, what the eyeshadows are going to really be in person, because with Pat McGrath we all know that pictures, especially like on her website and on her IG can be wildly deceiving, and oftentimes, at least so far, my experience has always been that everything is much prettier when you get it live. Like Nude Allure held zero allure to me, and then I bought it and I was beating myself up for not picking it up earlier because it is so much prettier in person. And because I love the formula in the quids, and I'm really hoping these are going to be rather epic and beautiful in real life, I thought, you know, I'm just going to get all of them, see how I feel about all of them when they are here and I can swatch them and use them in person, and then I will make selections of what can go and what can stay. Because other than that, except for Lunar Nightshade, nothing else is very unique, nothing else is very exciting. I like the shade Bronze Ecstasy because it has that gold shade that sort of actually looks a bit like the one that's in this palette, but hopefully in the Quint formula, which is more textured, more dimensional, more interesting. With her gold shade, sometimes it's really hard to tell what exactly you're going to get, but it looks, at least in the photos, very interesting. Right next to that is a very cool toned brown that also sparks my interest. The rest of the palette is whatever. I'm really happy that there are some like browns in the mix because I really cannot deal with the pinks and the berries in her mattes anymore. And I just realized that I forgot to do my brows. I'm going to do those off camera real quick. I don't really want my outer corners to be too dark, but I'm going to just take a little fluffier sort of brush to apply the darker brown in there. So we were talking about the Quint. Yes, Lunar Nightshade absolutely coming with me. The bronzy one I actually also really like. The question marks are the two more pinky ones. There is one which is leaning a little bit more neutral pink and one which is like more like classic pat pink. And I don't really know about those. I'm going to have to see them in person to really assess the situation, because I don't necessarily mind her pinks, and they lean a little bit more on the neutral side and they're a little bit more dimensional. So the thing is that we also haven't really seen swatches of anything yet, and I think the swatches are going to be somewhat informative but not too much, because especially the swatches on her website tend to be super useless, and the reels she posts on her IG are so filtered and so like edited that it's impossible to tell exactly what you're getting. You're getting somewhat of an idea of what you're getting. So unfortunately, I think this is going to be one where we have to see it in person, or people will have to start using them on their eyes, swatching them to really be able to tell. So because the Quints are like the more affordable types of products in her collection, and the bundle is going to be a really good price. Right now the bundle stands as 119 euros on her website, which honestly is not too bad for all the 4 Quints. So yes, it is an overwhelming amount of eyeshadow that I will be bringing into my collection. That's the other thing that sort of concerns me, because in one go here we're getting 5 eyeshadow palettes. So that's the Splendor something, the big mothership, as well as the 4 Quints. That is a little bit concerning, but because I'm not sure that everything will stay, I feel like, okay, I also have a little bit of FOMO because I decided not to get the trio of the Star Wars Queens when they released, and I regretted not getting the golden one to this day, because I love the formula of these Queens so much, and because they don't take up too much space and the eyeshadows are really small, so if you use them regularly enough they eventually will be gone. I feel a little bit better about buying her Queens, but still, it is an overwhelming amount of eyeshadow, I realize that. I'm going to take a tiny bit of my almost dried out NYX glitter glue here. I just really need to swap this for the new one that I have. But you know, you can take the girl out of Eastern Europe, but you can't take Eastern Europe out of the girl. I'm trying to just use up as much as possible before I toss this. So those are the items from the collection that I am getting. Now, items from the collection that I approve of, but I am not going to get, are the trios that have the bronzer, blush and the highlighter. Obviously people expected that, given that now she has powder bronzers, and I think it is great. It's probably going to be one of the best selling items from this collection, because let's be honest, people may not be into eyeshadow and sparkly eyeshadow, but they're always going to be into bronzer, blush and highlighter. I'm going to take this shade here on a flat shader brush now. So I think even for like completely random people, these are going to be one of the items that sells the best. And I also think that they are great for people who do collect Pat McGrath, because except for the bronzers, which are the existing shades that are currently offered in her lineup, the blushes and the highlighters are completely new shades. And especially for the blushes, that is quite remarkable, because people have been asking her for a long time to add more colors to the existing range of her Divine blushes. So it's a different, you know, matter of discussion that with blush, and especially with like pinky-ish blushes, which is mostly what's present in those new palettes, you're really going to see that much of difference when you put them on your face. That's really the case for all blushes. We here like to nerd out on undertones of blushes when we swatch them on our arm, but if we were to keep it real and be honest with each other, we also know that those undertone differences do not usually translate on the face. Like on the face, they all kind of look the same. Obviously, a very pink blush and a very peach blush are going to look different on the face, but the in-betweens, they don't really translate when you put them on your face. I'm taking the highlighter shade now to put in my inner corners, but say you wanted to buy one of those because they are very good for traveling and it's very convenient to have all three products in one palette. It's fantastic that if you are a collector, you don't have to, you know, dupe yourself, because the only item that you will already have is the bronzers. So the bronzers that are present in those are Nude Honey, Bronze Nirvana, and I don't remember the deepest one. It's not Bronze Mahogany, it's the one before that, something maybe with amber, and it's meant obviously for the people of a darker skin tone. Personally, for now, I'm not considering getting any of those trios because I'm pretty set on my blush and highlighter when I travel, because I have my Charlotte Tilbury Beautifying Face palette and I switch up the bronzer. But that's for now. If I were to see one of those on like a really steep sale, I might consider getting the one with Bronze Nirvana, because I don't actually have Bronze Nirvana. I have Nude Honey, and I feel like in terms of colors that the one that has Bronze Nirvana would be the best suited for me. And I do quite like the formula of her highlighters. They're really, really exquisite. Anyways, for the topper part of this look, I'm going to take the Bridgerton 2 palette. This is, what is this called? My lord, I completely blanked out. This is the Belle of the Ball, and of course we're going to take this gorgeous baked eyeshadow to put as a topper over top of the metallic from Nirvana. So this is what I mean with like the metallics from Celestial Nirvana being just so blah. Look at this shade. There's really nothing going on to it. It's a pretty color, but besides that, there's no texture, there's no sparkle, there's no dimensionality, it's just blah. So I really hope the ones in the new palette are not going to be as blah. Let's make it less blah by applying the Astral from Belle of the Ball over top, which obviously immediately salvages this look. Well, it's not like the look was bad, but it immediately, you know, adds the dimension that I was lacking in the eyeshadow from Celestial Nirvana. I am going to blend out a little bit of this mid-tone brown shade on my lower lashes. And I think this pretty much concludes the rambling about this new collection. Like I said, it's not bad, but it's also not epic, great, fantastic, and something that I'm mega excited about. I'm just happy that there is something I want to buy from Pat again. Especially after the Sunlit Seduction fiasco, I have a little bit of PTSD with her releases. But other than that, I also don't think that the collection is great. Unfortunately, I think Pat McGrath Labs is past their prime, past the time when they were doing something innovative. That's going to be a notion that's really hard for me to accept, and it will take me still some time to get used to that idea. But yeah, just seeing the direction that they've been going and the releases that we've been getting lately, I think we need to accept the fact that the days of fabulous motherships, Blitz Astral quads, and uniqueness and Pat's stamp on the products, those days are gone. Anyway, I'm going to take the shade Renaissance Gold from Lisa Eldridge and put that here in my waterline, because I think it's going to complement this look really nicely. So this is the final look, kept it really low-key on my lips. I have the Lust Gloss in the shade Flash 6 from Pat McGrath Labs. We're just going to have pancakes in the forest in a little bit, so I feel like I can just be a little bit more low-key. And if you were wondering, yes, there is a pancake restaurant that is in the forest. As long as you're not imagining forests, you know, like the Alps. Now, these are like the neat Dutch little forests, but it is still very romantic to go there, and today is one of the last like more summery days that we're going to get here, so I think it's a great time to go and have an activity like that. Anyway, you don't care about what I'm going to do later, you care about me wrapping up this video. I don't really know that I have any additional thoughts to share. I think I pretty much shared everything that I wanted to say with you, and now I'm curious what your thoughts are on the collection. I've already spoken to quite a lot of you on Instagram, and it is just so funny to see how pretty much 90% of you have indicated that you're going to get the Mega Mothership, that's the Splendor something, the one with the green shades, and from the Queens you're getting Lunar Nightshade, so again the one with the greenish bluish shades. Like about 90% of you said that those are the two items that you want from the collection, which I found really remarkable and not all that surprising, to be honest. So I'm very curious what your thoughts are overall on the collection. Do you expect we're going to get a little bit more? Yeah, I just can't wait to chat about this in the comments below. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!